Well, it's time to check in with the Cannes Film Festival now, 4 days into the competition for the Palme d'Or. Olivia Salazar-Winspear is covering that for us in the south of France. So we're starting with the news that Cambodian filmmaker Palme has stepped down from a jury role, but there's been a U-turn. Can you tell us more, Olivia?
Indeed, Palme was named the president of the TikTok short film competition, launched this year here in Cannes, the idea being to support emerging talents by inviting them to make films between 30 seconds and 3 minutes long, and there's even 10,000 euros in prize money for the best entry. Now, yesterday we heard that the Cambodian filmmaker had stepped down from that role, saying that there'd been a persistent disagreement over the independence and sovereignty of his jury, and that for artistic and ethical reasons he couldn't continue. We've heard now that he will be staying on as president of the jury. So obviously some compromise has been reached there, which is good news for those entering that competition, because of course the whole prize giving was hanging in the balance since they had no jury president yesterday evening. It seems that as of this afternoon, they do.
And next, you've been checking out one of the sidebar sections of the Cannes Film Festival. It's called Un certain regard, and these are slightly offbeat films. Tell us more.
Now, this is part of the official selection, but those films aren't competing for the Palme d'Or. They're more non-traditional stories told in unusual ways. Now, one that really particularly caught my eye comes from Australian actor and director Thomas M. Wright. He's best known for starring in Jane Campion's Top of the Lake, but he has been behind the camera a few times. And this latest film is entitled The Stranger. It tells the story of a police investigator, played by Joel Edgerton, who has to take part in a covert operation to try and discern who the guilty party is in a case of disappearance and potential murder of teenager James Lister in 2002. Now, the other main character, a man named Henry, is considered to be a person of interest in that case, and the police officer has to befriend him, get close to him, to get close to the intel that he needs to solve this case. Now, it has a very dark, menacing mood, which is perfectly captured by the cinematography. Let's get a closer look at that film in this clip.
You know, when I was a kid, I used to ride the cane trains all the fucking time. Out of my fucking head it was. I never felt more free until now, mate.
Now, this film is a very authentic portrait of a police officer, but also an ordinary man trying to do the right thing and get justice while also staying within the rules in the constraints of a black ops mission. And what's particularly chilling is that this is based on a true story. It was, in fact, one of the longest running missing persons cases in Australian history, and a huge interstate police operation was involved in that crime being solved.
And coming to the competitive part of the festival, you've also been catching up with the films competing for the Palme d'Or, the most recent being a film from a unique perspective. Tell us more.
Yes, this was the fourth film in competition, came from Polish director Jerzy Skolimowski. It's called Eo, and it's an intriguing premise. It's told from the perspective of a donkey who starts off in a Polish circus. He goes on quite a journey after that. Skolimowski says that this is his homage to the French film Au hasard Balthazar, the 1966 classic made by Robert Bresson. And I found it to be a really thought-provoking reflection on the way animals are used and abused for human needs, whether that's for transport, entertainment, or food. There's also the ethical question of keeping animals in captivity. Now, stylistically, the film is extremely impressive. There's a very experimental aesthetic when it comes to the camera work and the editing, and there's a real attention to detail when it comes to conveying the texture and the sound of the natural world. So a nice surprise in that one. Coming up later this evening, we have a film named Boy from Heaven from Egyptian-Swedish director Tarek Saleh. That follows the journey of one young man as he goes to Cairo's Al-Azhar University and finds a somewhat sinister intersection of religion and politics there. I'll be bringing you more on that one later. And this evening we have the first French film in competition. That comes from director Arnaud Desplechin. It's called Frère et Sœur, or Brother and Sister, and the duo in the title are played by French stars Melville Poupeau and Marion Cotillard. according to this story, they are involved in a bitter love-hate relationship, but I think it's more hate-hate from what we can see from the trailer. My colleague Louise Dupont got a chance to sit down with Melville Poupeau, who told her a bit more about working with Desplechin on that role.
First of all, I was happy to work with Arnaud Desplechin once again. I'd hoped to work with him again after we did A Christmas Tale together. I got the impression from the outset that this story was really important for him. He wanted to tell it in a way that would go beyond the hate. The movie is really all about being at one again with yourself. The movie's beauty is that the main character goes towards the light, and that's why it made me happy to do this movie with Arnaud.
Now, Desplechin has form with emotionally complex and family dramas, so that one looks to be promising. You can catch the full interview with Melville Poupeau on our sister channel, France 24, in French tomorrow, and I'll be bringing you a review of that film just as soon as I've seen it this evening.
Thank you very much, Olivia Salazar-Winspear, reporting there from Cannes. We'll make sure to keep an eye on those films.